This is a super beginner question, but I think it's a question that most people don't know the answer to. Can you explain the difference between a producer and a director, especially in the movie industry or the video industry?
Oh, the music, yeah, that's very different. And I think every industry has a different definition of a producer. Say a producer at NFL Films versus a producer at Simeon versus doing a music video is night and
Okay,
day.
interesting,
You know,
interesting.
for music videos, essentially, uh, there's a line producer and a producer that'll keep your project on budget and get all the things there, deal with all your vendors and
Oh,
all
line
that.
is in bottom line, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And and a director, is fully creative. Like, and to be honest, like with what we do at Simeon is I don't want my directors worrying about anything to do with money, financial stuff, crew. It's like you focus on creative because that is hard enough. Especially working with some very demanding artists sometimes. It's like you focus on that and then you communicate to the heads of your department, and it's kind of our job as a production company to kind of build that wall around the directors as the artists, that we represent because it's kind of like management with the musician. It's like, yeah, they're going to give creative input, but like, would you want your musician like, worrying about their backline? It's like, no, so it's kind of a similar relationship there.
Yeah,
So,
it's really interesting.
um, yeah, I don't know if that really helped at
Yeah,
all, but like,
absolutely, for sure.
director is just fully creative. Producer, is making the thing happen, but
Yeah.
pulling all the strings, getting all the pieces there, all the toys there, so the director can play. Essentially,
And that's pretty much standard for that industry, like the music video industry. Like it's typically like when you see that producer versus.
yep. And I think too, like in the movie industry, like there will be some like executive producers and things like that where they're just like money people and they help finance a movie. So that, like, there's a lot of like those kind of different levels of producer. And like I said, I don't one day hope to make movies, but that's not my world right now. So I
Oh, is
can't
that
really
the
speak.
goal?
I mean, that's the goal, man. I think everybody out here wants to make movies, right? Like, but my self realization is like I understand like I started as an editor, turned into like an animator and visual effects artist, and like it's music videos are essentially like an exhibition as a director to get your ideas out, to make these things, to make as many things as possible, get your bad ideas out, figure out what works with the good ideas. And for me, it's like if I make a movie when I'm 40 or 50 or whatever that is, like because you may only get one shot, so you better be ready for it, when that time comes.
That's a really interesting
And
concept.
it, and it and to me, the role as a director is it's the long man's game. It's like you have to show that you're trustworthy enough, that you're creative enough, that you have the skill set to handle this budget and to get the story across and things like that, and that you have the credibility to make that project happen. And I don't think that happens overnight. Some people some people get lucky and they can make a movie when they're 24, and you're like, wow, that's an incredible film, and
Sure.
you're like, that guy's awesome,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't work like that way for everybody. So I'm here, I'm along for the journey, see where it takes me, and.
And you know what though, your story is the people that make it. You know, some make a career. 99% of them have your story, where it's like they work their butt off, and that's the story. It's like, and even what's that you. I mean, and then you have the one kid that's 24, that the one out of 100 or one out of 1,000, right? But everybody talks about his story, and they forget to tell the story of the 99 other people that actually put work in. But there's that I forget the phrase, but it's essentially like, every overnight sensation had 10 years of work behind it, kind of thing. Like that whole concept, like it's all it really is, man. You look at the Ed Sheerans or anybody that that's the top of the industry, man. They stink and put their hours in. You know what I mean? And even if they were Justin Bieber discovered, online, that kid stinking worked to stay where he is, man. Like touring years and years, and like people don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. So, including
100.
myself, man. When I first started my music career, I was like, Madison Square Garden in 3 years. I got this. Yeah, okay, Jake.
I think there's a fine line between being a dreamer and being a realist, and it's like towing that line and like
Very
dream
much
big,
agree.
but work hard to get there. You know, like
Yes.
just having to know that it's not all going to happen and super quick like that.
Yeah.
But also too is like my biggest thing about like getting your 10,000 hours too,
Yeah.
and like and really establishing yourself is like I remember when I first went to school. I went to school at Columbia College, and you know I didn't know what the video and filmmaking process would be like. And I remember going there like the first week, and I was so intimidated by all these people. They had like a TV program in their school or like a video class, and I didn't have anything. It was just self-taught, running around with a DV camera or whatever. And all these people, they were going to school to be a director, to be a producer. And I was like, well, I'll do an editor. So I know I can go to school to be an editor. So I know I can figure that out, right? And my biggest thing was at that time, and this is more for like your younger viewers, is like all these people that were there to be a director or producer. How are they gonna learn how to do that job? Like, yeah, you go to school for it, but to me, you learn how to do that job by doing all the other jobs. How are you going to be a director or producer if you don't know how to shoot, if you don't know how to edit, if you can't communicate with your visual effects artists or your animators or colorists? Like, so that's the biggest thing is like, as a director, it's not like your job isn't like, this is my vision and you're welcome. It's like your job as a director is to steer the ship and to provide a path, to that end product, whatever that may be. And you have to make decisions, have to communicate with everybody in that, on the Instagram credit list. You're talking to everybody, so you have to know at least enough to be able to communicate, and that takes time. And I'm still learning every day.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that is a great point. Actually, I think that's missed on a lot of people. We all want to be that number one guy, but typically the reason that person's the number one is because he did all the 15 other jobs to figure out, and he's good at all. That's a great point, actually.